We'll call to order the board meeting for October 13th, 2020. Would you please rise and join me in the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And would the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Look.
Here.
Commissioner Brastad.
Here.
Commissioner West.
Here.
Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Meisner. Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Next, we will look for a motion to approve tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brastad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion or questions? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that item passes. Item 5 on your agenda is to consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending September 25th of 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Motion by Commissioner Luck. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Questions? Commissioner Reinert.
Where is there a list of these items?
It should be placed in your Dropbox under claims.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's for the public's edification. That's a claims list of basically checks written or card payments made out of the county's check register that the commissioners have privy to at before every meeting. And it's also posted in administration for any of the public if they need to see it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Anyone opposed? That item passes. Teresa.
Roll call, please.
Oh, this is a roll call vote. I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
That item passes. Next, we'll look for approval of the minutes from September 22nd of 2020 for the county board meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Luck. Any corrections? I looked over the minutes as usual, and as usual, they were perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Any other comments? This is not a roll call vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That item passes. Next, we are going to move into chair's remarks. And we have 2 items under chair's remarks today. And the first is to recognize 2 individuals and 2 groups as part of this year's Public Health and Environmental Awards. These people work diligently to provide resources, offer aid when and where it's needed, and improve public health and the environment in our communities. I would like to ask Cindy Caesar, Director of our Human Services Division, to begin our presentation. Cindy.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Cindy Caesar, and I'm your Human Service Division Manager. I'm standing in today for Janelle Hubbard, who is our Director of Public Health and Environmental Services, and she's not able to be here. Anoka County has been presenting the Public Health Recognition Awards since 2006. And this year, the ceremony has been expanded to include Anoka County's Recycling and Resource Solutions Champion Awards. The Public Health and Environmental Awards will now encompass those who have made significant contributions to recycling and the environment, as well as public health in their communities. We receive nominations from the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. A selection committee comprised of public health professionals and members of the Community Health Advisory Committee selects the award recipients based on their leadership, efforts to improve community health and the environment, collaboration, and advocacy in the community. Due to COVID-19, unfortunately, the format has changed. We are not able to present the awards in person this year. However, our award recipients have all been sent the streaming video link to to this ceremony, so they'll be able to view the presentation today. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. It's now my distinct pleasure to talk about our first award recipient, Connie Moore. Denise Kermis, manager of Anoka County Behavioral Health and Adult Services, submitted this award nomination. Connie is the executive director of Alexandra House, which, as you know, is a shelter in Blaine that provides safe haven and resources to those suffering from domestic and sexual violence. I'd like to have Commissioner Meisner tell us more about the impactful work Connie has accomplished at Alexandra House and how she's been an advocate for victims for decades. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is my great honor to recognize Connie Moore. As Commissioner Schulte said, most of us know her as the Executive Director of Alexandra House, which is a local nonprofit dedicated to ending sexual and domestic violence against women. But Connie has been helping others for more than 30 years, starting out at an emergency shelter for battered women, and has since worked on numerous initiatives for city, state, county, and national, addressing social justice issues and becoming a leader in creating public policy. Recently, Connie served Anoka County through participation in the Joint Community Health Needs Assessment. This was co-facilitated by Anoka County Public Health and Environmental Services, as well as Alina Health Mercy Hospital. Her expertise in domestic and sexual violence were invaluable to help shape the initiatives and needs of the county. Connie serves, as I've mentioned, on many focus groups dedicated to improving county health, and her commitment is deeply appreciated by her colleagues, residents of Anoka County, and community partners. Congratulations, Connie. You have made a profound positive impact on countless lives, and your dedication to helping victims of abuse is inspirational. Thank you so much for your work.
Next, I'd like to introduce our second award recipient, Rachel Workin, Environmental Planner for the City of Fridley. Chair John Hanson and Amy Dritz and Justin Foel, commissioners on the Fridley Environmental Quality and Energy Commission, submitted this award nomination. I'd like to have Commissioner Gamache tell us more about how Rachel has been working to improve the environmental health and well-being of Fridley and its residents. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In the 2 years Rachel has been working for the City of Fridley, she has shown tremendous leadership and a willingness to collaborate. In 2018, she led city efforts to participate in Excel's Partners in Energy program, setting carbon and energy reduction goals for the City of Fridley. She has implemented the city's energy action plan over the past year and a half, which has included an energy breakfast for local business leaders, outreach and presentations to landlords, civic and faith groups, tabling at public events, an electric vehicle ride and drive event, and cross promotions with other city departments to promote energy efficiency, rebates, and home energy squad visits. Rachel has helped the city apply for environmental grants, and she has advocated for small changes that make a big difference, such as smart salting, rain gardens, LED streetlights, the expansion of community recycling, and new curbside organics collection. Under her watch, Fridley has achieved Step 2 status in the Green Step Cities program, has become a certified USA Tree City, and a pollinator-friendly community. Congratulations, Rachel. On all of your accomplishments, you are a true champion for our environment.
Next to be recognized is a collaboration composed of the Blaine Police Department, spearheaded by Sergeant Nate Hatampa and Officer Mike Summer. The Heading Home Anoka County Collaborative, represented by Betty Nato and Jonna Krantz, and Northtown Mall, represented by Paula Mueller and Josh Kenner, for their collective work they accomplished to provide outreach to people experiencing homelessness. Josh Kenner is not pictured as he is currently deployed. We would like to also thank him for his military service. Michelle Reed, Housing Program Coordinator in Anoka County Community Social Services and Behavioral Health, submitted this award nomination. I'm going to ask Commissioner Brasted to tell us about how these organizations came together to provide resources to people in our area who are struggling. Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In October 2019, The Blaine Police Department conducted a homeless outreach event with officers from their department, Coon Rapids, and the Spring Lake Park Metro Transit Homeless Outreach Team, a line of community paramedics, and community partners from the Salvation Army and the YMCA. The general feeling was that this event was a success and should be replicated due to the quality of interactions this group had with people experiencing homelessness. On December 19th, 2019, the Blaine PD partnered with the Heading Home Anoka Housing Collaborative to host an event at Northtown Mall from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. 41 staff from more than a dozen agencies affiliated with Heading Home and 18 officers from 6 different departments came together to engage 35 individuals experiencing homelessness in our area. Anoka County Planning and Operations worked over the following days to reach out to individuals who attended the event. Staff met with them and connected them to services. The police departments also worked with Anoka County on January 22nd for the 2020 point-in-time count, the U.S. Housing and Urban Development's annual count of people experiencing homelessness. The same warming shelter with outreach by mobilized teams was duplicated for this evening. The second homeless outreach event resulted in 48 individuals engaged by on-site staff. Congratulations to everyone involved in the efforts to help people in our area who are struggling with homelessness. These events resulted in people being able to eat meals, have medical concerns addressed, and they were directed to resources to help them better their situations. The work of this collaborative affirms that as a community, we can come together and advocate for people experiencing homelessness.
Our final award today is being presented to another group, a partnership between Invictus Brewing and Tipsy Steer. Both of these businesses occupy a shared location in Blaine and have developed a robust recycling program. Michelle Palm, Senior Sustainability Specialist at the Minnesota WasteWise, submitted this award nomination. I'm going to ask Commissioner West to talk more about the initiatives of these two businesses. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As plans started for a shared space between Invictus Brewing and Tipsy Steer, the two businesses decided that they had a prime location for introducing to the public organics recycling. To make this vision a reality, Previn Solberg and Greg Austin, respective owners, worked with WasteWise to find opportunities to make recycling easy for both employees and customers. The businesses applied for a joint grant through Anoka County to get color-coded trash, recycling, and organics bins for their facility, along with a 6-month supply of compostable products to get them started. Nearly all of the paper products coming out of the kitchen at this location are certified compostable, and the brewery has reusable glassware. Being intentional about their use of color-coded bins, educational signage, and certified compostable products when starting their single-stream and organics recycling service has allowed Tipsy Steer and Invictus Brewing to divert about 32,000 pounds of single-stream recycling and around 182,000 pounds of organics recycling every year. Congratulations to these two businesses. Their dedication to waste reduction provides a new perspective on how food service can operate.
Thank you, Commissioner West. I would like to express my thanks and appreciation to all of our award recipients for the many ways in which their efforts are making our area a better place to live, learn, and work. Your caring and perseverance in making our community a healthier place is inspiring. You know, it's a bittersweet award ceremony because it's bitter because they're not here. We don't get a chance to shake their hand or bump elbows, whatever's appropriate, and to thank them and actually see them and meet them in person. Some of them we know, some of them we haven't met yet, but this has always been our opportunity to do that. But it's also sweet because we didn't let it go by without having an award ceremony. It would have been easy to say, yep, COVID got us, let's do this next year, or COVID got it, let's worry about when we can. I think it's important to continue on with these important recognitions, and for that I thank staff for all their hard work in the recognition of these people and the idea that you'd bring it forward to us. Thank you. Our second item is to recognize our very own County Attorney, Tony Palumbo, for receiving a very prestigious statewide award. The Minnesota State Bar Association presented Tony the Julius E. Gurnis Prosecutor Award of Excellence at its ceremony held on September 4th. Marcy Crane, our Chief Deputy County Attorney, joins us to share a little more about the award. Marcy, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. It is my honor and privilege to be here today to tell you a little bit more about our County Attorney, Tony Palumbo's latest award. A few weeks ago, Tony was honored by the Minnesota State Bar Association's Public Law section with the Julius E. Gurnis Prosecutor Award of Excellence. And this award recognizes the work and dedication of an outstanding public attorney working in the state of Minnesota as a county or city attorney or as a criminal prosecutor in the federal, state, or local level. Dakota County Attorney Jim Backstrom nominated Tony for this award. And as Mr. Backstrom said, few county attorneys in Minnesota have a wider breadth of experience performed with a greater skill and dedication. He went on to say, few individuals have had a longer and more productive career of public attorney service than Tony Palumbo has had. The nomination goes into great detail about Tony's career from the beginning when he was a law clerk in 1977 and on through our office and through his election and serving as county attorney and on and on. And I've looked at this county board meeting agenda and I am not going to get into that. But instead what I'm going to do is focus on one aspect of that award that really deserves some conversation about Tony's leadership, and that is the area of elder abuse. Before elder abuse was a topic of public discourse and legislative attention, financial exploitation and other forms of elder abuse operated in the shadows, creeping into this vulnerable population's homes and affecting their health, safety, and financial security. It was kept secret within families and sometimes clouded by the victim's dementia and other frailties. Tony put a spotlight on these devastating crimes and fought on behalf of these vulnerable victims. Under Tony's leadership, the county attorney's office has devoted significant time, effort, and resources to this problem. Right from the beginning of his first term in 2012, Tony founded the Minnesota Stop Abuse and Financial Exploitation of Elders, also known as the SAFE Initiative. The goal of this initiative was to reduce elder abuse through training, policy, and education. And Tony and our office have been leaders in this area from the very beginning. Tony and his staff are often out in the community working to protect our elderly population. He continues to be the go-to expert for local media covering elder abuse issues. Tony's commitment to this area of law is very evident within our own office. We have a dedicated criminal prosecutor, a grant-funded victim witness specialist who works on these cases, and we have an investigative unit who is very skilled at investigating elder abuse crimes. One of our investigators goes out into the community, educates our seniors on how to avoid the latest scams and dangers. Unfortunately, this continues to be a very active area. In fact, as we speak right now, there is a trial going on in Anoka County District Court on the financial exploitation of an elderly victim. Anoka County and its citizens have been the beneficiaries of Tony's service. I'm proud of his accomplishments and the work that our dedicated staff does under his leadership. And I am pleased that the Minnesota State Bar Association has recognized him with this award. Congratulations, Tony.
Well, thank you, Marcy, and congratulations, Tony. I know you don't say many things, but the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Marcy, for that. Of course, I would have preferred we pass on this item, but that's just as well. Thank you very much for the recognition, Marcy. Thank you, members of the board, for that recognition. You know, and I certainly consider this award a team award because I have to thank both the previous and the present employees of the County Attorney's Office for all their work in making this initiative a success. They have worked quite hard. They've taken this initiative, and it really has made a difference in people's lives. We work very closely, not only with our state partners, but with our federal partners also in trying to stop what I have seen through the years as just a horrific crime affecting certainly people who should be enjoying the later years of their life and are now obviously subject to much of the bad things that we have seen happen. I'm also grateful to Dakota County Attorney Jim Backstrom for the nomination and, of course, the Public Law section for this award. And lastly, I want to thank this board for their support of the mission of the County Attorney's Office. I'm really grateful that we've worked together as partners to carry on a mission to serve justice for the people of Anoka County. And I'm very thankful. So I appreciate the award. I'm also, as I look at the picture, very thankful for Photoshop. So appreciate it. Thank you, members of the board.
Well, again, what a great honor. Congratulations, and thank you for continuing to shine a spotlight on all the great work going on here in Anoka County. I just can't believe they give an award to such a young guy. I mean, you'd think they'd wait till somebody was later in their career before they would do this, but...
Yes, I'm going on 43 years young at this county, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Well, Tony, again, we're really proud of you and glad of the work you've done. So thank you. With that does conclude Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you. I'd like to make a quick comment. As someone who has a spouse that works in senior living and senior care, they're very thankful for the work that you've done over the last number of years on this issue. They're very happy to have that ability, and knowing there's someone here at the county and a staff here at the county that are willing to take the calls and are ready to take the calls and are working very diligently on this important issue. So I appreciate that, and it's appreciated around Anoka County and elsewhere, I'm sure, but Anoka County is very thankful for what you've done. So thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Commissioner.
With that concludes Chair's remarks, and we will jump into our committee reports, and we'll start out with the Management Committee report. Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The things on the regular agenda are informational, but we have 2 items on an additional agenda. 1A is 3 1 FTE License Center Specialists, grade B009. These positions are needed if anybody's tried to get into the License Center. We become very familiar with how long it takes to get your appointment, and this is going to speed up the ability for business to be conducted and also bring we had some folks that were enjoying this lovely weather and sitting outside to greet people. They will be able to be inside once this cold comes and work with the people as they come and help get the queue in their cars as the people are waiting for their appointment.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Reinert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Reinert.
I just want to share a couple of comments, from the meeting that we had just prior to this one on this topic. And so originally I came in not going to support this action just because it wasn't part of the 2021 budget and other reasons too. But with additional information that we were given at the meeting prior to this one that's not included in our packet, that I'd like to share, and reasons for, I guess, additional reasons for these additional positions. We have apparently half a dozen people that are now working, that were full-time, that are working part-time. And these 3 additional positions, if you do the math, it pretty much replaces them. My questions at the management meeting were, shouldn't they be called then replacement positions? But then just the way that the county works, they're really considered to be higher ahead positions, and I guess that's the thing, you have to call them to, I guess, work it into the situation we have with COVID and the disruption in employment and everything that we have. But I look at this as more, not 3 additional positions, but really kind of replacing some of the hours that have been lost because of the disruption of COVID. And then we also had a small conversation about the actual 2021 impact, and based on the math and people working half-time and everything, it might be a net effect, but yet to be seen. But I just wanted to add those comments as part of the conversation we had in our management meeting that I guess helps to justify these positions. Like I said, originally coming in, I wasn't in support of this action, but getting that background information, I am now.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. And it's a good opportunity for me to add that for a number of the public that watches or monitors our meetings, they see a lot of actions that happen here relatively quickly with unanimous action of the board. And that's due to the fact that we have, as Commissioner Reinhardt just stated, much more in-depth conversations at the committee level. And whether it's a management committee that deals with positions in the county, or a parks committee, or property records and taxation, whatever it may be, we have lengthy meetings that we dig into the details and become more subject matter experts than we actually do with every subject. So that's one thing that Anoka County does that's different than a lot of other counties. So it may look like we breeze through these board meetings not asking a lot of questions, but that's because they've been asked and understood by the committee members. So thank you for that. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, first, I would like to thank Commissioner Reinhardt. I do think it is important to, not for maybe every detail, but to discuss and have some transparency about some of these meetings, as Commissioner Schulte has suggested. I just had one question then about the new position with the CARES Act funding, and I'm sure you guys discussed this. But then, so for non-COVID funding position, is that worked in then for the future, or is this position then just going to sort of be see how it goes as far as need?
I'm going to turn to Dee for that answer.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner. This one is not CARES funding. We have a limited time to collect CARES, which would be 1 month if I can get these hired before that. Otherwise, they will go and hit the 2021 budget. This is a department that usually is revenue generating, and we were usually able to cover all of our costs. We're not quite sure if we'll be able to do that or not. We have slated that we will look at this in 6 months, see where we're at, and then make adjustments from there. Because they are hire ahead, they're just holding positions, so I can get them hired, trained, and up and running. But then what we'll look at is we have people retiring, as we have people decide to be staying at home or find another job. We'll look at each one of those positions as they open up and see if we should fill it or not.
Okay, thank you. And I'm so sorry, just to clarify, did you say this is not CARES Act funding?
It is not CARES Act
Okay.
funding, just because I can't get them hired fast enough in order
I
to
see.
get them
All
going.
right.
So
All right.
if there would, we're looking at 1 month only.
Thank you.
And I would like to clarify my previous comment about committee meetings. I just want to make sure everybody knows that those are public meetings, open to the public. We're currently doing most of those online. You're able to watch or comment via email, and encourage people to attend those meetings if they can. Then they will know exactly what we're doing at board meetings and make a little more sense. With that, is there any further discussion? If not, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West.
Aye.
That item passes. Before you go on, I'm going to turn to Commissioner Meisner to ask a question.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just for clarification about your last comment about many of the committee meetings are online right now, but that's only true for the committee meetings held here in this room, correct? The rest of them are not being recorded or broadcast for the public.
Correct.
Okay.
A number of our committee meetings are held off-site
Right.
at locations that are open to the public, where
Yep.
people can attend, and that's all
Physically.
published in the
Yes.
agendas. Anyone that's here is virtual, and they can comment via email. Committee meetings, you're right.
Right.
The majority of all committee meetings, other than management, are available for the public to be live at,
Thank you for that
socially
clarification.
distanced,
Yep.
following all the guidelines. Thank you. Back to your report, Commissioner West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And for 1B, it's a new position in administration, and it's in our Public Communications Department. It's a 1 FTE communications technician, and it's a result of a very, very busy schedule of many of the things that we've been adding to the new way we operate, cabling in buildings and installing electronics and managing all of that.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
It's a motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner West.
I neglected to just comment on this funding that's mentioned. For November, the CARES Act funding is going to contribute $7,000. December, $5,000 from administrative savings. And in 2021, it is not to exceed a $68,000 cost for wages and benefits.
Thank you, Commissioner West. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. That item passes.
And Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner West. Next, we'll move on to the Transportation Committee report. We had an opportunity to meet on October 5th at the Bunker Hills Activity Center in the Maple Room, and we come for you with 5 resolutions to be offered. The first, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing acquisition of right-of-way for the construction of right turn lanes and a centerline culvert extension on Constance Boulevard at Tippecanoe Street in the city of Ham Lake. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner Brasted. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West, Commissioner Schulte, Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
And that item passes. Secondly, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing acquisition of right-of-way to convert the existing northbound right turn lane into a bypass lane on Jarvis Street at 213th Avenue in the city of Nowthen. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer that resolution.
Commissioner Look has offered the resolution. Is there further discussion or explanation requested? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That item passes. The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of right-of-way, the relocation of an existing driveway culvert, and associated ditch cleaning along the north side of Birch Street between 1271 Birch Street and 1281 Birch Street in the city of Lino Lakes. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'd like to move approval of Resolution 2020 TR30.
The resolution has been offered. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
That item passes. The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing conveyance of county purchased property to the city of Blaine for the installation of traffic control signal system at the intersection of Radisson Road and Xylite Street, and near side signal heads and flashing yellow arrow improvements to the existing traffic control signal system at the intersection of Radisson Road Northeast and 101st Avenue Northeast in the city of Blaine. Is there an offer of the resolution?
Mr. Chairman, I'll offer the resolution.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not positive, but I think that this particular light signal, there was some discussions with the city of Blaine, and I'm just wondering if those discussions have been resolved and all of that, and if I might be wrong about this actual light.
You are not wrong, and I will turn to Joe McPherson, our County Highway Engineer, to address your question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, fellow commissioners. So my name is Joe McPherson. I'm the Transportation Division Manager and County Engineer for Anoka County. And to that question, there's still discussions going on about the cost share policy that the county has in place for cities on county reconstruction projects. So that's still taking place. We're still working through that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West, Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
That item passes. And lastly, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing conveyance of property to Centennial School District Number 12, and approval to enter into a joint powers agreement with that Independent School District 12 for the reconstruction of Birch Street from Oka Drive to 550 feet east of West Shadow Lake Drive. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'd like to move approval of 2020 TR 32.
The resolution has been offered by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Reinert.
So conveyance of property for what consideration? I guess I didn't see what the consideration was for that.
Turn to
Yeah.
Joe.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. So essentially what this is we have to purchase property from the school district to complete our project. And so throughout that process, we've been working with the school district, who's been a great partner over the last 2 years. Throughout that process, there's been an understanding that the school has some intended improvements that they'd like to complete, and they need some additional property from us. Now, about 2 years ago, the county purchased the property known as 509 Birch Street, which was an old farmstead in the southwest corner of the school's property. And so we knew we'd need that when we did the new intersection at Tomahawk. So as part of this, the JPA essentially spells out the transfer of property in place of funds that would transfer. So there was an appraised value for the impacts to the school's property of around $117,000. And in place of just paying them $117,000, we actually worked out an agreement with them where we will transfer a check to the school district for $35,000, and then the chunk of property that they need to take care of the improvements that they want to do to their property from the 509 parcel, that appraised out at approximately $82,000. So when you add those two together, it makes up the appraised value of $117,000. So it's kind of a mishmash of items being thrown together into a package, but it's a nice streamlined process, and I think both parties come out getting what they needed.
Okay, thank you for that detail.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Reiner. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
And that item passes. That concludes our action items under transportation. I will make note of number 6 under the informational items that we authorized our county engineer to write a check for $10,000 to the Anoka Conservation District. That's using some of our CARES dollars to help them along to continue. I'm sorry, that may not be CARES dollars. That's using our dollars, which may be CARES or maybe not, I don't recall. But it's forwarding those dollars to the Conservation District for them doing our buffer work, contacting our wetland properties to make sure that they're coming into compliance with buffer laws. And again, that we do give them a considerable amount of money. This is in addition to what we usually give them. And if I'll stand corrected right now, it is not CARES dollars, I'm sure, the more I think about it. It's not. Okay, thank you. Joe?
Yep. Yeah, Mr. Chair, just to add to that, you're correct. So it's $10,000 from a $40,000 grant that the county receives on behalf of the county, monitoring and overseeing the establishment and the continuation of buffer strips along waters of the state. So it could be creeks, county ditches, rivers, and so forth. And as the chair had mentioned, the Anoka Conservation District takes the legwork and they run with the ball on this one. So they do a great job every year. Over the past 2 years, they've met with almost 100 property owners, and they've gotten essentially 99% of them in compliance. There's one additional property owner we're working with right now, and due to some communication gaps, we finally figured out who the individual is we need to talk to, and he's already working away with that property owner to bring them to compliance. So at this point, they've done a great job, and we haven't had to issue any notices of corrective action. So they've done a really good job. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Joe. And that was for informational purposes only, just to make sure those of you that aren't on transportation do hear about it.
Oh,
Commissioner Meisner.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just want to make sure that, did you say that this $10,000 is an additional fee or amount that we normally spend? Okay, got it.
It is. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that, thank you, Joe. And that does conclude my transportation report. And we will now move on to Intergovernmental and Community Relations Committee Chair Report. Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item is that I would recommend the county board adopt resolution IG 2020-08, resolution accepting a gift for Anoka County Veteran Services. This is a donation made by the Coon Rapids VFW of $1,000, and it will help defray costs for the volunteer transportation program.
Thank you. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I would like to offer the resolution.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
That item passes.
The next item is I would recommend the county board approve an agreement with Coochin County to become their appointed medical examiner with an estimated annual income of $18,000. This is a new agreement and will actually be our 29th county where we are appointed the medical examiner, and I'm happy to move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary. I continue to be impressed by the growth of this area in the county. It's just, I think you said number 29. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. That item passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brasted. Next, we'll move to the Parks Committee report. Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Parks Committee met on Tuesday, October 6th at Bunker Hills Activity Center. We have no county board action items. We did have a committee action item. That was the committee recommended to send on to the Intergovernmental Relations Committee the proposed legislative platform for the Parks Department for the upcoming 2021 legislative session. Basically, there are 3 items on that. One is for regional park operations, a total of $1,610,852. That would be financed from the State General Fund and Natural Resources Fund, lottery in lieu of sales tax. The other is regional park capital improvements and natural resources conservation that comes from the Metro Regional Parks and Trail Legacy Grant Program. Fiscal 22-23, that's for $3,152,648. And then, of course, to support the request of the Metropolitan Regional Park implementing agencies for $15 million in state bonds to be matched with $10 million from the Metropolitan Council bonds for improvements to Metropolitan Regional Park and Trail System. This is something the state of Minnesota has been doing and funding. They've been funding the regional park system through regular bonds and bond appropriation and general funds since 1975. So we're always supportive of that in our legislative platform. And as I indicated, that gets moved on to Intergovernmental Relations Committee for approval as well. Otherwise, the other items that we did talk about quickly, for those who are interested, we got an update on the status of Chamonix Golf Course operations, and things are going very, very well at Chamonix this year. We've hit some record highs in the month of July and August, and believe we'll have another good month of September as those numbers were just coming in. We're hoping that we get some more warm weather, although I hear it's only going to be 48 on Thursday and Friday. Unfortunately, that gets a little cool for golf, but if you wear 2 gloves, you should be okay. The golf course is still in really good shape. It's had a really good year with the amount of rain we've had, and I think our staff has just done a fabulous job working through all of the different COVID restrictions. They've still been able to get people out there and keep them out there safe, and just had a great year. And we've also had some celebrity golfers that we're really excited about, so we're hoping to keep elaborating on that a little bit more. And as Commissioner Reinhardt had stated, can we get some pictures of some of these gentlemen and women golfers that we can advertise a little bit? So we're looking into that if that's a possibility. Some of the other things, we did have an update on the existing conditions and replacement plans for our trail system. As many of you remember, we had put together for our for going out for bids this year on the wave pool parking lot, we were gonna add trails into that. Well, the bids came back way too high. We had to cut back because it was way more than we had expected. So we had cut out some of the trails that are in need of repairs, but we've gone over them. Jeff Perry and I took a bike ride around them and looked at all the trails that we had in this system that we were ready to update. And while they are not as smooth as you're probably used to riding on if you're on the new trails that are going in our county, along our county highways, which are beautiful trails, those are, could be made up for inline skating if you wanted to use those. Some of the trails in the county at Bunker Hills aren't quite there, and they're about 20-some years old, so they're in need of some work. But we're patching them where we can, and we expect to get that into the next bonding bills and into the future. That's what I talked about regarding the regional park capital improvements. So, but we did get an update on that, and for the most part, the trails at the park are great for walking. They're great for biking. There might be some areas where you're not going to want to do your rollerblading, but otherwise, I think that's about all. I think that concludes my report, Mr. Chair.
Are you willing to accept a question from Commissioner Luck?
Sure.
Commissioner Luck?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I just, having served on the Parks Committee, it was always a lot of fun talking about the various different projects we had. Being that it's campaign season, of course, a lot of people are raising questions about parks, and particularly as it relates to the 0% levy that we adopted here last board meeting. But I just, for the edification of the folks at home and those that are interested, we do solicit a lot of grants in terms of our capital improvements to our parks. In terms of our operating cost of our parks, our budget has gone up slightly, and we're still maintaining the operational part of it. But just the question in terms of, as chair of the Parks Committee, in terms of the capital projects that we have on the books, I know, we were part of the wave pool project, putting millions into that. I think we've done a significant investment in our parks from a capital standpoint. A lot of that hedges on how the grants are doled out from the state, Met Council, and other legacy and other agencies. But can you just maybe comment a little bit about some of the investments we've made and perhaps some of the investments we're looking to make?
Sure. Yes, and obviously the Bunker Hills wave pool work is being done, and we are looking forward to opening sometime June of 2021 if all goes well. The work is ahead of schedule. Obviously, we started a little earlier, so that was nice. I still look at the amount of work that they still have left to do, and I really question whether or not they would have got all this done if we would have started in September. But they said they would have, so that's nothing we can do about that. But yeah, we've done a lot of done some work on investing in trails all across the county. We have, part of what I talked about as part of our legislative platform is some payback for some of the work that we have done and worked with the cities of Coon Rapids, the cities of Lino Lakes, the city of Andover, where they have fronted us so that we could get the projects done along with like highway projects that were going on. So I want to thank the cities for waiting as we try to get this money from the state and pay them back for the work that they've done. But we have done that. We got the tunnel underneath Bunker that was put in when the Bunker Hills project was done. We've got some other work done up in Lino Lakes where they did it across 35W to get a trail alongside of the bridge that was being redone. Those things went on, and we continue to try to find ways to be creative with our dollars. I know that Commissioner Look wanted to look at a trail that went across one of the county roads up in St. Francis, bringing it off the top part of the county road and going under the bridge. And I know that's still in our planning and hopefully coming along in the near future, because it is a safety issue up there where if you have an opportunity to not go across a county road, which is always busy, and be able to bring it down near the river. So we are still looking at how to get that done in that regard. So we have a number of different projects like that. Some of the other ones that we were looking at for when I talked about the Metropolitan Regional Park Implementing Agencies, the $15 million and then the matching dollars. the county, based on the formula, would get about $2.4 million in funding from that one. Now granted, that one has been approved previously by the legislature since 1975, so we don't expect that to change. We look at the regional parks as just as important as the state parks, and the state pays directly to those. And this Metropolitan Regional Park fund that we've had for years is kind of the way for the state to say, okay, yeah, we're going to put in money into these metropolitan regional parks because they're just as important, and in some cases, even more people enjoy the regional parks than enjoy the state parks, just because of the fact that they're right in the metropolitan area. So we expect to get that $2.4 million in the next legislative session. Obviously, the bonding bill that is being discussed probably as we speak, that could help us in some areas as well. So we look forward to seeing some of that. Now, Jeff Perry asked me before today's meeting, he said, do you need me at the meeting? I said, no, I think I got it under control. I should have said, no, Commissioner Look's gonna have this question for me, and he could give it a little bit more depth to it, but I hope I added something for you.
Mr. Chair, just as a follow-up, no, Commissioner Gamache, I thank you for your leadership as a chair on that committee. I think you're doing a fantastic job, and I think that there's just some misunderstanding maybe out there in terms of cities fund city parks, and it comes out of their budgets. And when it comes to a regional park, there's other funding sources that the state gets involved in that we've been very successful at getting capital dollars for to make these investments. But then when you look at projects such as the wave pool, the county then steps in, and we stepped in with about $3.5 million to close the funding on that project, realizing that so many people use that and it's highly successful. But there's just maybe a little education maybe for some out there that this is how funding happens, and while there's, we're obviously tightening our belts in every single department here, trying to keep an eye on some of the financial challenges that folks have out there, that we're still maintaining. As a matter of fact, from a park standpoint, operationally, we're increasing slightly, and we'll look forward to any needs that come in the future too. So.
Thank you. And to that point, in a coronavirus environment, parks are one of those things where you probably invest more rather than less for safety and for people to get outside and use them. Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and just a question or commentary, because you had asked what are we investing in the future, and I mean it seems like our current investment and certainly our near future investment has been in Chamonix, which is going well, and then our campgrounds too. I don't know how much we're investing there, but again, that is another area of campgrounds specifically that, to Commissioner Schulte's point, with coronavirus, I think our parks and our libraries have become superstars as far as county departments. So anyway, so that was just either a commentary / question, but I think both Chamonix and then the question part would be about our campgrounds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, the work that we've done over the last almost 2 years now with Chamonix, a lot of things have changed. We've put together a great program. The team there, led by Mark Johnson, has really put together a great program to bring in new golfers. Now, obviously, with COVID-19, there's been a lot more people golfing, and that has helped. But they also I think that they enjoyed Chamonix for a couple of reasons. They realized how safe it was, and some of the things that we did. At the same time, they just found that this is a great golf course right in their backyard, and it's like you're golfing in northern Minnesota. You really couldn't tell the difference on some of the holes. There's not a lot of homes built up around Chamonix Golf Course. They're far enough away on most of the course, so it's just a great golf course. And then the parks, for those who probably won't be able to, because I believe we shut down this weekend. It's MEA weekend. I believe this is the last weekend for camping at Bunker. I believe the other campground did shut down at the end of September. So that's going to be done, but it was a great year. We had some delay at the beginning of the season, but it picked up after we were able to reopen, and things went really well out there. And overall, the amount of use in the parks has grown considerably during this summer of COVID. So hopefully everybody was happy with that, and I think they enjoyed the park being there for them. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Gamache. Your passion for parks is obvious. I thank you for your leadership there. You have replaced Commissioner Kordiak well in that seat.
Those
I
are
will
big
say
shoes to
that's the
fill.
longest informational report we've ever had, so thank you.
Thank you.
With that, we will turn to Property Records and Taxation Committee report. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Property Records and Taxation Committee did meet on September 21st. I do also want to make a note that this committee going forward is meeting at the Rum River Library. And this was an informational meeting. However, I always like to share some of the things for the public that was discussed there. So here's a couple highlights. Again, the presidential general election is, of course, quickly approaching on November 3rd. As a reminder to the public, we will continue to count the ballots for 7 days beyond Election Day. So please be aware of that. So that's through November 10th. A couple of statistics. Over 80,000 absentee ballots have been issued by our office. Over 40,000 absentee ballots have been returned or accepted by our office. And again, if you are voting this year by absentee or mail-in, you do have the option of walking that in. You do not have to actually mail it back. You can walk it into most city halls or the government center here. And lastly, I'll leave the fun stuff for last. The due date for the second half of your real property tax payment is October 15th. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. And just a point of clarification, we'll be counting ballots up to 7 days after Election Day, but your vote has to be postmarked by Election Day. You can't turn it in 2 days after, it's not going to count. It still has to be in by Election Day, postmarked by Election Day, received by us within the next 7 days. Then it will be counted. Thank you, and that does conclude that report. Next, we'll move to the Public Safety Chair report, and we will turn to Commissioner Brasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My first item is that I would recommend approval to increase the amount previously approved for the purchase of 9 police squad cars for the Sheriff's Office from Dodge of Burnsville off the state contract from $234,000 to an amount not to exceed $258,500, plus any tax, license, and delivery fees.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
It's a motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Seeing none. This is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
That item passes.
The second item is that I would recommend approval and execution of the 2021 law enforcement contracts for a term of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 with the City of Bethel in an amount of $46,844 and the City of Oak Grove in the amount of $650,497. And I'll move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Opposed?
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte, Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
And that item passes.
And my last item is to recommend approval and execution of purchase of services agreement for operation of inmate telephone system and video visitation services for the Anoka County Sheriff's Office Jail with Inmate Calling Solutions with a 3-year term effective upon execution and an option for renewal for an additional 3 years. And I'm happy to move that.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
And that item passes.
And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brasted. Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I'd just like to give a shout out to our law enforcement agencies. I know we had I think it was a carjacking of some sort in my district, and there were kind of some chases of sorts and vehicles that ended up losing their tires, as I understand, as they were sitting along the side of the road. But I just want to comment and give thanks to our law enforcement because of the quick response that they had in this situation. And, oftentimes you get a lot of questions as to, are you defunding your police, those sort of things. I'm sure many of you are getting those same questions. And of course we aren't, and that's not something we're going to get involved in, but we certainly support our law enforcement from the standpoint that when these type of situations come up, they respond right away and they deal with it. And so I know that there's many people, kind of went around Facebook a fair amount, many people that are very thankful for that quick response and the great work. So Sheriff, thank you for your involvement in that, and certainly thanks to all the other law enforcement agencies that got involved in that too. So.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Commissioner Breasted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Look, for bringing that up. I just wanted to give an update on the officer that was injured through the sheriff. I did hear back from him. I sent him my well wishes, and it sounds like he's going to fully recover. Took it easy over the weekend, but honestly, we do have the best of the best in Anoka County, and I was remiss to say that our sheriff is sitting here in the office, in our audience today, to comment on any of our items. And he's always there. He's always there if you have any questions to reach out to, and he does a fabulous job. So very thankful. I agree with Commissioner Look that as Chair of Public Safety, I will continue to encourage us to continue investments in our law enforcement and not defund. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Breasted. And I just want to make a quick comment before I go to Commissioner Meisner, and that's this is just one incident that got some press. We have dozens of incidents a day that are thankfully a little less dangerous to the public, but not less dangerous to our law enforcement. They're walking into these situations multiple times a day, exposing themselves to viruses and gunfire and knives and whatever else. They are true heroes. They need to be recognized as such more often. I know here in Anoka County, they probably get more of that than they do in Hennepin County or Ramsey County or other places, but they can never hear it enough. So we need to keep reminding them that they're heroes, that they're doing sometimes a thankless job, but it's not thankless today, because we're here to thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Sheriff. Commissioner Meisner, and then Commissioner West.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. I forgot to make commentary about this last action item here with the inmate telephone and video visitation system. And just commentary that I'm really glad that we have this technology for families that have a transportation barrier. It's really important that inmates and their families can have, obviously, visitation and communication. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. Commissioner West.
I just want to ditto what you said and pass on to the sheriff that I'm hearing over and over and over again how much they appreciate what our law enforcement does for us.
Well, now that we're done with the admiration of the sheriff's office, which we all have, and public safety in general, Commissioner Look, you didn't single out the sheriff. You certainly mentioned the police departments as well. They all work hand in hand in Anoka County to keep us safe. And with those partners as well, every single day they put their life on the line for us, and most of us won't forget that. That concludes our committee reports, and we are going to move now into the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Securities Act, or CARES items. Start in the local government category with agenda item number 9, where we'll consider approving procuring and purchasing countywide equipment for telework or modified office workspaces for employees in an amount not to exceed $150,000. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion or questions? If you have any clarifying questions, don't hesitate to ask as we read each item. Corey will be here to give us his background on that. Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Breasted.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
That That item passes unanimously. Item 10 is to consider approving purchasing the following items for the Corrections Department. Cameras for the non-secure program from Johnson Controls in the amount of $42,999. Vending machines for the Juvenile Center from Select-A-Vend in the amount of $15,030. And carry guides from the Carry Group Publishing in the amount of $21,375. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Questions? We'll start with Commissioner Gamache and then Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Corey, just a quick question on item number 2, the candy pop machine, vending machines. I believe we have vending machines, but we're not allowing people to come in and fill them. So I'm just kind of getting an idea of exactly what the difference is between this.
Yes, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Gamache. My understanding, and I don't exactly know the details as well, I mean, that's something we're actually looking in. Risk management is going to be talking with corrections just to verify this, that, you know, we have to provide some kind of canteen or vending option to, to the juveniles that are out at the center. And right now there's a lot of touch going on with, staff having to do that. So this is a different way of allowing, them to get access to the vending without using our vending machines where people can come in. So they come in and I'm not exactly sure how it works. That's my problem. That's what I think of. I don't know, Dee, do you recall?
Yes.
Maybe she does.
Commissioner. What these are is you're right, the vendor is not allowed to come in anymore, so they are not filling dispensers up. So what we're doing is taking upon ourselves to purchase the vending machines and fill them so anybody within the center can have the ability to purchase items.
Oh, okay.
Further questions? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, just, for action item number 1 on this for the cameras, just commentary about it. So the reason that we need these cameras is because of the social distancing, which now we don't have cameras in places that we didn't used to have to need. So just clarification for the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte, Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner, Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brasted.
And that item passes. We'll move to item 11, consider approving an additional $102,371 for the purchase of software for the mobile deployment dispatching console positions for emergency communications 911. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
It's a motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brasted. Further discussion? I will comment, you recall at our last meeting, we approved these consoles, and they were less than the software to run them. It's a little disheartening that we didn't know as a county, staff or electeds, that when we bought those consoles for I think like $82,000, that we were subsequently going to be told that we have to come up with more than that to get the software to run them. It's a little disheartening, it's a little frustrating, but I introspectively, I looked at it and said, would I have approved those consoles if they came in at $184,000? And in my head, I said, yeah, I would have approved them because we need them. It's appropriate to have them. So I got over my frustration rather quickly, but I did want to share with you why you're seeing a second item related to those consoles that is higher than the actual hardware. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brasted, Commissioner West.
Aye.
That item passes. Item 12, we'll consider approving purchasing software in the amount of $95,558 from APCO Institute and $30,000 from Central Square for CAD integration for emergency communications 911, allowing customized COVID-19 related questions to be added to the system to improve the safety of first responders. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Reinert. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brasted, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. That item passes. Item 13, consider approving purchasing HipLink mass notification system software from HipLink in an amount not to exceed $24,080, allowing Emergency Communications 911 to send mass notifications relating to a public health emergency or other emergency within the county. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I assume that, so we do not currently obviously have anything like this in place. And as this says, it's mass communication on for everything, for both the emergency professionals, for the public, that can be applied on telephones, smartphones, pagers, computers, all of that. And we currently do not have that type of tool in place.
That's correct, I'm
Okay.
sure. I know we have part of the typical Amber Alert system, and there are some weather alert systems that are probably already in place. This broadens that to more public safety.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Meisner, that is true. We do have a system that currently can do a broad range, but what it can't do is bring it down to a specific area as tight as we really need to do. So one of the examples we really could have used this system was when we had to send out the notice about the curfew in Anoka. That was really kind of a short decision. We had to get it out there, and we really had no way. But this system allows us to take it down to within one city block, and we can go all the way out to the county, and it does hit any of the cells, texts, anything that's in that area, and gets the message out. So we can use this for vaccine information, we can use it for testing, or we can do it even after a tornado, if roads are closed, anything like that.
Commissioner Meisner.
And then just follow up with that. So great that it's customizable. And then how long does this technology last for this investment? I mean, is this going to last until whenever we need a new system for this, or is this?
I think I can answer that without asking any questions. Technology changes every second. This may only last a week. Our hope is this will be, I mean, and my hope with most of these expenses we're doing in 911 and other places, it's kind of a long-term thing brought on by this massive outbreak, and it's gonna put us in a really good place going forward. The question will be, for how long?
Right.
How often do we have to update this software? Maybe this we have to buy every 2 years, and those are decisions we'll constantly keep making. But I'll let them answer it more professionally if they know an exact answer.
I'll go with yours.
Thank you.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache. Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brasted. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
That item passes. Item 14, consider approving reimbursing previous expenditures related to COVID-19 health pandemic with CARES Act funds in the amount of $1,772,616. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meisner and a second by Commissioner Brasted. Any further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary. I mean, again, this is going back to all of the work that our departments have been doing for months and months and overtime and just absolutely in a very stressful and demanding situation. So I'm glad to see this.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brasted. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That item passes. We'll move to item 15, consider approving expanding the existing transportation assistance program with an additional $25,000 to assist with car repairs and insurance for county residents experiencing job loss or unemployment due to COVID-19 and needing reliable transportation. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it.
Motion by Commissioner West. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Gamache.
I think we talked about this maybe at the last meeting as well. I'm just wondering if this is new or is this just the final approval?
This is an additional amount.
Okay.
We've already submitted, I believe, 200,000. I forget now, it's in the
100,000.
100,000, I think.
100,000 in this category already, but it's being expended fast, and so they're asking for an additional $25,000. I will put a disclaimer out. Most people know I'm in the auto repair industry. I don't get any of this money. Even if someone chooses to come to me, they can't use this grant money at my shop. This is specifically through a different shop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner.
Aye.
That item passes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, just one question about this, because so this is an additional amount because of the need, and I assume that until we run out of funds, that should the need keep rising in the demand, we can continue to support this.
I wouldn't put it that way because we're time sensitive here.
Sure.
After November 30th, we cannot give out any more funds. At that point, we need to return what's unspent to the state of Minnesota.
Right, I should have clarified within the timeline of this particular funding, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
May I add, Chair, Commissioner Meisner, we do look at it every time the CARES Committee meets, and we see what we've spent so far, what we have for time available, and then we add to the pot if we can.
Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll move on to item 16. Consider approving the purchase and installation of virtual programming studio from Tourney Brothers out of St. Paul in the amount of $38,224, allowing the county to provide better quality virtual services and public communications. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion? I believe, I don't have the document in front of me, I believe this was at the libraries? Is that correct?
Yes, it is
Yes.
at the libraries.
And this is because we're doing so much more remote virtual programming that we think it should be of a little higher quality. Not that the library doesn't do a high quality, it's just actual production value. So that's what this item relates to. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just to add on to the commentary about libraries, their digital programming has been crazy successful and really well received by the public. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? This is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
That item passes. Next, we're going to consider approving the purchase and installation of video conferencing equipment from Tierney Brothers of St. Paul in an amount not to exceed $123,000, allowing social distancing for trainings, meetings, hearings, interviews, and programming. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gamache. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brassad.
That item passes. Item 18, consider approving purchasing a Q-Live call center monitoring system from Marco in the amount of $47,967, allowing the license center to better track increased call volume and adjust or balance their multiple business functions. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. I would just say that I don't think I'm the only commissioner that's probably gotten a call from somebody trying to get into the license centers. Probably all have received some form of communication at some point. It's been challenging from that respect. People have come to expect that they could just walk in and get done what they need to do. And due to the governor's orders, social distancing, everything else that's in place, we have a large backlog. And this is going to help us. One of the hardest complaints for me to deal with is when people say they call a phone number and it's never answered. They don't even get an answering machine because it's backlogged or overfull. Or if they do get an answering machine, they don't get called back. And that's where we're at. We have a system that's overwhelmed, and this is our opportunity to fix that being overwhelmed. Commissioner Look and then Commissioner Meisner.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I too have gotten many of those phone calls, and it wasn't, don't know that prior to COVID that it was easy to get in and out right away, but some of the transactions take a lengthy amount of time for folks, and the state system, quite honestly, wasn't very helpful in creating the problems it created. And I'm not sure all those are ironed out as of yet either, but the simple fact that the state mandate has made it even worse, you can understand why people are noticeably frustrated out there, and hopefully this provides some level of relief.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Meisner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to point out to the public, because when I read this, I was quite surprised. I mean, this has gone from an estimated 4,000 calls a month. Now, we did peak at 70,000 in the first month following our reopen, but right now it looks like we are averaging 20,000 to 30,000 calls a month. And again, going back to what was an average of 4,000. So just to kind of, again, express to the public what kind of demand that this is going to now. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. Commissioner West?
Dee,
Yes.
would those calls, the high number, is some people continually calling to get their appointments?
Yes, yes.
And this is gonna help that.
Right, Mr. Chair, Commissioner West. So yes, we were so overwhelmed with call volume and messages, it overwhelmed the system and it couldn't actually even take messages anymore. So we have gotten the call volume down, and we are implementing putting messages back. The additional staff is allowing us to have staff that all they will do is call, even during hours and after hours. We are implementing that, and this system helps us track that, so we can figure out why people are calling, where they're calling from, and kind of put a QA and help us reconfigure our phone system, because we've never been overwhelmed like this before.
Right.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair and Commissioner
Corey.
West, in addition to that, calls that aren't even included in the 20 to 30,000, people are calling the front desk operations, and so many of my staff are actually trying to help people navigate this as well, in addition. So they're trying every which way they can, which makes another reason why this is so important.
Commissioner Look?
Mr. Chair, in all fairness, there's a new concept called the COVID purchase out there that, whether it's a motorhome or a vehicle or, water utility, craft or boat or whatever the case is, none of them are in stock anymore. People are buying them like crazy because they're not going on vacations and they're not doing some of the other things that they typically do, and so they make the decision to buy something for the family, and generally that requires a license, and generally requires a title transfer, and generally requires a lot of governmental paperwork. And so I think we're seeing a lot more increase, just the nature of what people are purchasing, and that's further, burdening our system. And I do want to thank our staff who are doing a fantastic job, and I'm sure they're pulling their hair out trying to get people helped as soon as they possibly can, and just ask for people to be patient. And I know they've been patient, and it's difficult. So,
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Commissioner Gamache? Oh, I'm sorry. Saw your hand. With no further discussion, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reiner,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West.
Aye.
That item passes. Item 19 on your agenda, consider approving the purchase and installation of a camera system from ProTech Design in an amount not to exceed $113,112, and additional cabling services needed from Allstate Communications in an amount not to exceed $21,702 to provide a safe and secure environment for staff, clients, supplies, and services. Is there a motion to approve?
so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Further discussion? This is for the Government Center, for the loading dock, first floor, some of second and third floor, just additional audio-video requirements. Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, from a facility standpoint, the county has made the decision to make investment into more cameras because of safety-related issues, and I'm pleased to see that that we're able to use these dollars to accomplish some of those goals that we've already put in place, and will continue to put in place to keep everyone safe.
Thank you. And as a reminder, these are CARES dollars, which means we can spend them on anything that has caused our business to change because of the virus, which includes more safety on the first floor, second, third floor, keeping social distancing, and having sight lines with cameras to all those socially distant places. So although it is a goal that was set in place quite a while ago, it has been escalated quickly by COVID and therefore eligible for CARES money. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. That item passes. Item 20 on your agenda, consider approving hazard pay for certain public safety and public health staff using CARES Act funding in an amount not to exceed $133,000 and authorizing employee relations to develop the distribution to qualified employees in accordance with county policies. One of the conditions is an employee must currently be employed by Anoka County. We will not be paying this to those who have left our employment after its action today.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brasted,
Second.
second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary that I'm very glad to see this on here for hazard pay.
Thank you. Any further comments? Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache, Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
That item passes. Next, we'll move to the safety net category. Agenda item 21, consider approving providing $19,538 in relief to a nonprofit as designated below for service expansion to citizens of the county that have been affected by COVID-19 health pandemic. That is the Anoka County Brotherhood Council Food Shelf, or ACBC, for $19,538. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Further discussion?
Just a quick question, Mr.
Yes.
Chair. We had this was also in our packet, but it's been changed. Is that just because the one group?
They withdrew the
Withdrew.
request.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That item passes. That concludes our prescribed agenda. Is there anything else to come before the county board? Seeing none, we are adjourned.
HRA.
Well, it's 11:05. Let's go ahead and call the Anoka County Housing and Redevelopment Authority Special Board meeting to order for October 13th. The clerk will note the attendance, that we are all present and accounted for. I have no chair's remarks for you today, other than I will comment. You all had an additional HRA agenda sent to you in your packet. That has been pulled. The city that has sent that to us is holding that back for now. It'll come back to you at a later date. So we'll be disregarding that agenda today, and we'll move into our regular agenda. And the first thing is to consider approving the minutes from our HRA board meeting of September 22nd of this year. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by trustee Look, second by trustee Brasted. Further discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes are adopted. Thank you. Next, we will have a public hearing to offer the public an opportunity to comment on proposed substantial amendments to the Anoka County portions of the Dakota County Consortium 2019 Program Year Action Plan. And I believe I will turn the public hearing over to our county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will then convene the public hearing for the purposes stated by the chair. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Anoka County Union on October 2nd, 2020. I would ask the clerk to make note of that for purposes of this record. And I don't know at this point, Ms. Sandy, if you want to address the board on anything relating to this matter. First of all, have any comments been received that you were aware of?
No comments have been received.
Okay. Is there any other information you wish to provide for the board at this time?
Mr. Chairman, trustees, Anoka County has received an additional $1,353,920 in COVID CARES CDBG CV3 funds to be expended on programs directly related to the recovery, response, and prevention of COVID-19. We are going to be going through the application process here shortly to make those funds available for public services throughout our community.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions for Renee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So then we have now a total of approximately $2 million for the CBDG/CV.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, a little bit
Perfect.
over $2 million for that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Ms. Sandy?
I have one.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
What's the timeline for applying and qualifying?
Trustees, we will have an application available the week of October 19th is our game plan. We will have that available on our website. We are also going to start our traditional funding cycle, accepting applications that week as well. So those applications will be available. Those funds will not be available until July 1st of 2021. However, the COVID funds, the CDBG CV funds, will be available sooner than that. However, they still need to go through our full HUD requirements. So they will require environmental review. We will need to have a funding agreement in place. So we will be processing those applications as we go and bringing them back to the HRA board for approval as we go through those process, but people can begin applying the week of October 19th for those funds.
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Meisner.
Thank you. But the deadline for this specific bucket of COVID funds, I mean, we still have to spend them by?
We have several years to spend these funds. So
Okay.
the CDBG CV funds expire in 2023. So we have several years to spend
Okay.
those funds. And actually what I would recommend is that HUD has issued a waiver for our traditional CDBG funds. We did have a project that was canceled, a Duffy development project they had applied for funds. They didn't receive their funding from other sources. So those funds have been recaptured by Anoka County. So we have $735,000. Due to COVID, HUD has issued waivers. So we are able to convert that into COVID public service dollars. And we would likely use those dollars first because they have a shorter expiration date on them. So we would likely recommend using those funds first, and because the CDBG CV funds have a longer shelf life, we would use those funds secondary.
Okay, right. And I'm sorry, so follow up. So then for the public service portion, I mean, that we have a huge need for that. I mean, every year there's, multiple applicants, right? So that's, or am I
Yes,
confusing that?
however, these are able to convert for public service dollars. However, with the HUD waiver, they can only be used for prevention, response, and recovery for COVID-19.
Right.
So the activities would need to be directly related to prevention, response, and recovery of COVID-19. So we can open it up to all public service entities. There's no cap on it. Normally we have the 15% cap. However, again, it needs to be directly tied to COVID response.
Thank you.
Recovery or prevention.
Any other questions by the board? Okay. Seeing none, and just a reminder under the notice, any comments by the public had to be submitted in writing by 4:30 p.m. Yesterday, October 12th, 2020. And as indicated, there have been no public comments received. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And at this point then, Mr. Chair, I would then close the meeting and turn it back to you.
Thank you, Attorney Palumbo and Renee, thank you. We will now move to item 6 on your agenda, considering authorizing the chair to sign the 2020 home subrecipient agreement between Anoka County and the Dakota County Community Development Agency. Do you have some information for us?
I do not have any additional information. This is just our standard agreement we do annually.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee West. Is there further discussion? Trustee Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think I clearly was confused about this because I thought this was that 615-page document for the, okay, 8 goals. So that's completely different than what this is.
Yes.
Very good. Thank you.
Further questions? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That item passes. We'll move to item 7. Consider approving 3 amendments to the Home Investment Partnerships Program 2016, 2017, and 2018, and 2020 Fiscal Year Action Plan. Is there a motion to approve? I'll move it. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Brasted. Further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That item passes. Next, we'll consider approving a new...
Mr. Chair, very quickly, my understanding of the notice and comments about these particular amendments are to be received by Rachel Fanazzo-Dole by 4:30 p.m. on October 26th, 2020. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what the board has done is passed and then inviting comments, which can then be received by October 26th. Okay?
Thank you. Appreciate that edification.
Clarification.
All right, next we will consider approving a new lease agreement with Dr. Mark Kleiman, forensic and clinical psychologist, to provide services at the Anoka County Courthouse Commons Building, otherwise known as the Jackson Street Properties, to clients of Anoka County Courts and Anoka County Corrections at a rate of $275 per month, subject to review by the county attorney as to form and legality. Is there a motion to approve?
I'd move to approve.
Motion by Trustee Reinhardt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee West. Is there further discussion or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? I will stop at this point, turn to Attorney Palumbo and ask him, because that's a contract for lease payments, does that need to be a roll call vote?
If it is an expenditure of funds on the HRA's behalf, yes, it does.
How about a reception of funds?
That is not required.
Okay, then we're good. Next, we'll move on then to item 9. Consider approving the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice. And that is before us as item 9. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee West. Is there further discussion? Trustee Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, I must be confused. Now, this item is also not The 615 page,
This is, yes. Commissioner
Okay.
Meisner, this is what we talked about
Right,
at the
that-
meeting last,
that we postponed so we could review.
right.
Which I did, but then I just got confused where it was in
This
in
is that item.
agenda. I'm sorry, may I make some commentary about it?
Please.
Or, okay, so
Please, yeah,
I,
we're under discussion now. We've got a motion and a second on the
okay,
floor.
thank you. So I perused, I mean, it was, again, 615 pages, but obviously I think there were eight or nine goals in total, which was the focus. And even in the last meeting, after all the information, for me, I just like to translate that in terms of what is actionable for us, or is this just kind of data and information? I actually have some specific questions about several goals, and I don't know if you want like a list of them or how you want to work
If you
that.
want to state them out now, you can have the list. So this is what we put together with the regional consortium
Yep.
to kind of be on the same page
Yep.
as we move forward. So we try to cover all those. If you want to have those, so we can have those in the comments, that would be great. And then we
Okay.
can make sure that we're hitting those as we go
Okay,
through it.
perfect. And one thing I just want to start off with is that I did notice that in the very beginning of this document, you know, they acknowledge that systemic racism within the region has led to strategic disinvestment in communities of color and over-policing of Black and brown bodies. And there was a lot more kind of information and statement around that, so I found that to be good and interesting. But in terms of some of the goals, and they're all fairly related. So, for example, under goal number 1 for recognizing, for rezoning for places like tiny homes. But rezoning, that's a city issue, correct?
Right. Planning
Okay.
and zoning is something that the county does not do.
Okay, and then under
Let me-
goal,
Let me just correct, just because we're part of a consortium,
yeah,
Anoka County doesn't zone, our cities do.
Correct.
Some counties have zoning authority. A
I
number of
see.
counties have zoning authority, and I'm not sure if any are in our consortium do, but I think they
Okay.
do.
Okay, and that's why that was in here specifically,
For
because some
instance,
counties
Dakota
do.
County is made up of a great deal of townships. We have one, I believe they have 23.
Okay,
So because of that, they have to have zoning authority over all 23 townships.
okay,
So
thank you
therefore,
for
it's in
that
the document.
clarification. Under goal number 2, they talk about manufactured homes and just making them, protecting what they have and making better access. So then is that something that we as a county are actively doing and communicating with our manufactured home communities?
That is in our plan, so we do follow our plan.
Okay. Let's see, so goal number 4, pilot a right to counsel program. So this is for tenants facing eviction. So again, like what is it that this county actually does or would do for that particular goal? I mean, is this conversations with landlords, that kind of a thing?
That one, actually, I do not know how deep we go into that. I can say if it's in the plan, these are items that have been in our plan before.
Right.
And we do have, institutions behind that too, mediation and all that to work with that.
Okay. I'm getting close to the end.
That's fine.
Goal number 6 is requiring all rental applications be made in Spanish, Hmong, and Somali. And then also on paper, I believe, for people who do not have computer access. So I think that's good. I guess I was just surprised that those aren't offered currently, or is that just continuing what we already practice?
Continuing of the goals, right.
Okay, good. And then goal number 7 I thought was interesting under goal number 7, which is increasing minimum wage in the metro area to $15 an hour. So that is not this county's jurisdiction though, correct?
Correct.
So that's just a broader goal.
It's a broader goal for the consortium. So
Okay.
each one of us has to agree on this. So there are a lot of goals in there that don't quite touch us, but it's part of the
Okay.
consortium plan.
Okay, no, thank you. I really appreciate that, and thanks for that clarification.
Commissioner Renner.
So I guess, in summary, there's dollars that come towards the county with our participation, correct? And then my understanding of this is that there's a lot of goals, and basically it pertains to counties that it pertains to, right? There are certain things that aren't going to touch us that are more focused in other counties, but all together as a consortium, they cover all of these goals, right?
And
So it's not specific to us that we have to do all of these things mentioned.
Correct. There are goals. There are goals for the consortium. We have submitted them to HUD. This is a HUD document. We've submitted them to HUD, and it's our goals to attain everything in here at some point as part of the consortium. But the consortium is made up of a number of partners, and all of them have different priorities, but we come together to agree on certain priorities to meet HUD requirements and to better our region. I will say this isn't a test for anybody, but we were reading 615 plus pages of some pretty tough stuff to read. If any of you caught the typos on page 32 and on page 34, I'd be impressed.
Yes, I did.
They were headlines. They were actually the headline of a paragraph, and they refer to the city of Plymouth as Plymouth County in both cases. A pretty substantial mistake. I emailed it to Karen right away, and she emailed it off to our consultant who's doing the work in DC so they can correct it. But that document, I mean, this is a document that hundreds of people, if not thousands, looked at before me, before us, and that got by. So it's important we read some of this stuff. I mean, I'll be honest, I was not happy when all of a sudden I got tasked with reading all 615 pages. And that was you, Commissioner, or Trustee Reinhardt.
You're welcome.
Who told me I should do that. But I made the time to do it, and it's not my type of reading, but I read the whole thing, and I didn't just do it for typos, I did it for content. And we got a long way to go to have fair housing in the United States. We do much better in this region than they do in most regions across the country. And we do it because we take this kind of work seriously. That's all there is to it. And we will continue to do our work. HUD puts a lot of restrictions on. I will tell you right now, I've been working with HUD closer in the last 2 years than I have ever before, but I have seen a turnaround in that agency where they're responsive suddenly. Suddenly HUD is willing to change deadlines on when you can spend money. They get back to you within a week instead of within the year. It's been a real improvement in that regulatory agency, and I've been impressed. Hopefully we can keep an agency like that doing what they're doing. Is there any further discussion on the consideration of approving the analysis of impediments to fair housing choice? Commissioner Meisner.
Mr. Chair,
Trustee.
I am not surprised at all that you got those typos. So just commentary, you've got eagle eyes for that kind of stuff, so which always impresses me.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Sorry about the surprise there.
That's okay. Trustee Look.
Aye.
Trustee Brosted. Aye. Trustee West.
Aye.
Trustee Schulte. Aye. Trustee Meisner.
Aye.
Trustee Gamache.
Aye.
Trustee Reiner.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we will look to item 10 for informational purposes. The CDBG CV public service funding applications will be available October 19th. Renee shared that with us a little bit ago. So we now know that that's that roughly $2-some million pot of money that came in. It is not part of the CARES Act. It's a separate act. So for that reason, it doesn't have the same deadline of November 30th. We can actually carry that out a couple of years. But that application opens October 19th, so anybody affected, our service agencies affected by COVID-19 have some expenses they need taken care of. Get to our website, get those applications in, and we will address those. Anything further to come before the HRA? Seeing none, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.